Happy Friday, everyone. How about you get your day started with a quick and listable summary of the previous day's world news events that will only take less than 5 minutes of your time? You heard that right. Too Long Didn't Scroll's mission is to take away from all that pesky endless newsfeed scrolling and give you a new quickest way to get all your daily news fixes instead. This day's episode stands as the 91st episode, reporting on events that occurred on April the 20th, 2023. We start off the events of this day once again in Sudan, still continuing to be torn apart by the clashes between the Sudanese military junta and Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. To give you a quick summary of how these clashes, now sending an entire country into chaos, came to be, back in 2013, during the war in Darfur between Darfurian rebel groups and the then ruling iteration of the Sudanese government, so-called Janjaweed militias were employed and then united to assist the government in putting these rebels down, occurring much controversy due to their role in the Darfur genocide. This newly created force became known as the Rapid Support Forces, a paramilitary group which was later used by Sudanese governments to perform security and defense duties such as border patrol outside of the military. The RSF, however, would later turn on the Sudanese government along with the Sudanese military during the 2019 Sudanese political crisis, overthrowing then-leader Omar al-Bashir. The RSF and military would again overthrow this new Sudanese government in 2021, cutting short its transition to democracy. However, over the next couple years, relations between the RSF and junta would deteriorate, especially in the wake of the junta's attempts to integrate the RSF fully into its military. RSF leader Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo has also said that he regrets RSF involvement in the coup and has stated he hopes for Sudan's transition to democracy to resume. These deteriorations in relations culminated on April the 13th when the RSF announced a full nationwide mobilization. Fire began to be exchanged between RSF and Sudanese forces on the 15th. Fighting broke out in the streets of Khartoum and nationwide, killing several civilians in the crossfire as the RSF attempted to seize key administrative sites like the airport, presidential palace, and more. As of the day of recording, around 330 people have been killed, including civilians.
Since fighting erupted in Khartoum, the exodus of those fleeing violence in Sudan has been endless.
For updates on the day of recording on the clashes, it was reported that food supplies in the capital city of Khartoum dwindled significantly with pictures of empty shelves in stores. Some families interviewed reported only having enough food for 2 days as clashes across Khartoum intensify. Water and electricity supply have also been reported to have cut out across the city as well. Another foreign death has also occurred in Khartoum after the death of a Japanese national a couple days ago, this time in the form of an American citizen. Violence against foreign nationals during the clashes is commonplace, and several countries intend to launch rescue operations for the citizens stuck in Sudan, like with America's sending of additional troops and equipment to Camp Lemonnier and its Djibouti base for an evacuation operation.
The strait is a crucial waterway for global energy supplies where American sailors often face some pretty tense encounters with Iranian forces.
Concerning the relations between America and the country of Iran, some controversy has bubbled as of this day when it was reported that an altercation involving an American submarine in Iranian waters has occurred in the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian forces have claimed they spotted an American submarine concealed in their waters, prompting an operation by its navy to force it back up to the surface with maneuvers by a submarine of their own. The American Navy's Fifth Fleet has denied such an incident has taken place and that their claims are a disservice to regional maritime security. Maritime incidents between American and Iranian vessels in the region have become somewhat more common in recent years.
On the cake.
Let's go to spacecraft manufacturer and launcher company SpaceX's Starbase in southern Texas. SpaceX made history today with the intended launch of its new Starship rocket, which is reported to have been the tallest and most powerful rocket ever flown with its new super heavy booster type. SpaceX's original plans for the historic rocket was to launch it into orbit around the Earth and have it complete one full orbit before bringing it down into the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii. However, such plans did not come to fruition as at launch, numerous errors, like the shutting down of several engines and failures to separate the boosters from the rocket, led it to spiraling out of control, forcing the control room to activate its flight termination protocols and have it splash down in the Gulf of Mexico. The rocket exploding and sending particles in the air to cover nearby cars and buildings were visible from around the region. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk and many other space and aviation officials, like NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, were still optimistic in SpaceX's continued progress on its rocket launches. Musk also claimed that he was not fully anticipating a successful mission himself in the first place, and that SpaceX is, quote-unquote, not afraid to break things. In other news, American media company BuzzFeed has stated that due to layoffs and budget cuts, that its award-winning news site BuzzFeed News will now gradually be shutting down. Former Peruvian President Alejandro Toledo, wanted in Peru over corruption charges, has had his emergency stay request in America denied, potentially forcing him to have to return to Peru to face trial, and a high-risk solar eclipse was observed over the countries of Australia, East Timor, and Indonesia.